What can I say? The Birth to 3 diploma, which is also known as the Assistance to Infancy course, is really designed for people who want to deeply understand and support children from birth to age 3. Now, it's right for you if you want to work with babies and children under 3. It specifically focuses on the earliest stage of human development, helping you understand the infant's needs and their development. You know, when you understand what they really need and how to match those developmental milestones to those needs, I mean, that really is such a wonderful tool when you're working with young children or caring for, you know, your own child or another young child. It's also right for you, you know, let me see, and I'll have to take the spotlight off me so I can see people when they answer. Okay, so who's interested? Okay, so this course will provide you with a really comprehensive study of Montessori pedagogy. We're not talking about just the basic ideas. We really are talking about the core principles of Montessori theory, how to use it, how to use observation, and basically how to really put this theory into practice. As you know, practice and theory doesn't always work together. For those of you that have had children, remember you read that book sometimes and then you tried to do it and it didn't work, okay? Practice and theory doesn't always gel really well, but this will give you a really good understanding. Okay, who here would prefer a respectful approach to children? Yeah. So this training really puts an emphasis on working with children through observation instead of control. And trust, this real trust in the child, rather than instruction, telling them what to do all the time. Montessori wrote a book and she called it The Secret of Childhood. Because sometimes you do feel like they have all the secrets in them, and you have to trust that. You have to trust that, you know, that developmental pathway, you know, nature, you know, and nurture has already got access to that, okay? Now, who here wants a professional training? Like some of you probably have training, but, you know, if you want a professional training, you know, AMI is, and that's Association Montessori International. You see the logo at the bottom of the slide. Okay, AMI is recognized internationally and it really is valued sort of worldwide in Montessori schools. AMI actually comes directly from Montessori herself, and her family is still collaborating, you know, with keeping her work alive. And we still have a scientific pedagogy team also looking at Montessori's principles and making sure that they stay current to this time and place. Okay, because we're not doing Montessori of the early 1900s. We're doing, you know, Montessori practice here and now for the child of today, which is very different from those early children that she worked with, you know, in the 1900s. Okay, so who here is working in other fields or considering working in other fields like early childhood education? I'm going to say a little bit about this period and, you know, birth to 3 and where we start. You know, even when you look at this period of development before birth, this for me always underpins the importance of a carefully prepared environment. Not just physical, but also that psychological environment. And this is something that we talk about a lot on the course. When we're talking about prepared environment, we'll be talking about the psychological or the human environment, and then we're talking about this physical environment. What you see in the picture, that physical environment. And I think one of the things that we have to recognize is when this child arrives at birth, they don't arrive with nothing. Okay, it's really amazing all the senses that have developed, all the basic sort of, you know, some of these basic acquisitions that they've already developed and have been developing while they were, you know, while they were in the womb. And we have to recognize that, you know, that period of pregnancy, you know, and we know, you know, that environment for them is perfectly designed. Okay, it's entirely functional. It's the womb provides the optimum environment for development. It's tailor-made to nourish, stimulate, and support this child. And we know that this prenatal development becomes the foundation for all future growth. So think about it. So we know that this period of pregnancy is the foundation for future growth. And now we're going to build on that. And this birth to 3 period is also the foundation of all growth that comes afterwards. Okay, so we really want the child to be, get in the best environments possible, as they go through that, on their developmental pathway. So if we want to support the child's continued development, we have to understand that the environment after birth has to have certain qualities. And this is what, Montessori she saw it clearly. She saw it clearly that this child needs certain qualities. They need a certain type of human environment. They need a certain type of physical environment. If we think about it, I'm sure no one here will disagree with me when I say that the child needs a loving environment, okay? That they need this loving, stable environment that really supports their development. We know that stress will get in the way of development. And, what I want to say is we really want this loving, supportive environment. And love is not abstract, okay? This is something that's expressed through the conditions that we create around the child. So part of this course is really giving you the tools so you can create the right conditions around the child. Our environments have got to be, we've got to show affection, protection, emotional stability. Okay, so that's our physical environment. Okay, that's the physical environment that you'll be working with. And I will be the trainer for the next course that we have in Montessori Institute Prague. Now, I just want to tell you a little bit about trainers from Association Montessori International, AMI trainers. So I have done the same course that you will be doing. Okay, all trainers have done that course. The other thing is to be a trainer, you usually have to repeat that course 3 times. Okay, you sit it again. And then you have to also, thank you, Thomas. Then you have to start lecturing. And then by the third course, you have to then lecture even more. And then you have to write all these different papers that get sent to a committee that assesses them. And you have to have a minimum of 5 years experience. When I trained to be a trainer, it used to be 10 years. You had to have 10 years of experience actually working in a physical environment, not just holding the diploma. So there's a lot of experience and knowledge that comes with an AMI course. And it really is a different, it's not just doing the course and then being a teacher and then, and then passing on that knowledge. You really have to train to be a trainer so that you understand the pedagogy on a different level. So that's the difference between an AMI course and a non-AMI course. Yes, so you get in a lot of experience with the person that you work with on AMI courses. You can see on the slide that I have 2 sons. My sons are grown up. They're 26 and soon to be 24. And I have to say I was lucky enough to have done my training before I had my children. But then I really learnt when I had my children, because everything I ever said to a parent Now, one of the things that you'll be doing while you're doing the course is you'll be making what we call your albums, okay? And your albums are really going to be your working document. It's going to be like your handbook, okay, of how to do birth to 3 Montessori. You basically are writing, you see all those things in dark blue? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 albums. You're going to make 6 albums, okay? And that's really going to be your tool going forward in your work. Now you see the first one is pedagogy, okay? So that's really, we're looking at Montessori theory, and you're writing up your understanding of Montessori theory, and you're going to have that as a reference tool then when you leave. We're also going to make a home environment album. We look at the materials that you would have in the home environment. We look at how you work with the child in the home environment, how you care for them, how you look after them. We're looking at toilet independence. We're looking at sleep. We're looking at food. We're looking at all these things that are important, when we care for a young child in the home environment. Then we have this album, which is called Psychosensory Motor Development. And what we're talking about is movement here and the development of movement. Okay, and you're going to have a whole album where we look at the milestones, we look how the child develops movement, we look at all the materials that are going to stimulate movement, and you're going to make an album on that one. Then we've got, there's an album that's called Community Environments. And this is for those of you that maybe want to start your own school, those of you that are already working in school environments, anybody that wants to start a parent-child group. This is really going to help you work in a professional capacity. Okay, and we look at all the things that you need and all the things that you do in order to create these community environments for young children. Now, the last one, it shouldn't be scary. Sometimes, people have, when they hear the word medical text, they think, oh my gosh, what's that? Okay, of course, we're talking about, caring for a young child. We're talking about a human being. So, we have to care for their health. So you really need to have an understanding of basic health and anatomy. So we look at it's a very sort of basic medical text. And then we talk how we can apply this medical text in our everyday work. It's going to support us in our work with the children and also in our work in our work with our families as well. As I said, it's your lectures that you write up, okay, that are going to make up this album, okay? So every week, these albums are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you would be surprised how big these albums get. The albums are usually done now digitally. Most people make digital albums. If people don't want to make digital albums and they want to make a physical album, that is something we can talk about, and we're fine with that. That's the way we use it. And one of the things that is different in an AMI course to some other courses is that for every material that we look at, for every material that you work with, you will understand the purpose behind that material, and you will understand what milestone we're working towards. And we are not giving children the materials and expecting them to do it beautifully. When we give a material to a child and they complete it perfectly and beautifully straight away, we're too late. Okay, that means we are too late. There always has to be this element of challenge, and that's something that you will develop this skills on, and you will learn through your observations of that child. And observation is we're going to talk about that in a moment, is a big part of the course also. So you're going to have presentations in all these areas in terms of the community: language, music, art, practical life, and food preparation.